What is up, YouTube? It is Joker777 and back with another review for you guys. And this review is going to be kind of late. This is actually the review for the Tomorrow People's, I think it's the 4th episode, which is All Tomorrow's Parties. Now, I have to say I'm a little bit disappointed with this episode because we had such a great episode last week in To Kill or To Be Killed. And it was such a great episode, so I figured, okay, I'm excited for this week. And then this episode comes and it's kind of lackluster. Because really what this is all about is about basically who's going to end up leading this group. It's either going to be John or Steven. Now the reason why I say that is because basically this episode is all about how the tomorrow people, the group of rebels, they basically want to try and just get out of the subway because they live down in the subway all day, every day. So it can be kind of boring. And it was actually Kurt who was caught sneaking out trying to see his mother, and John says, no, you can't do that. Steven says, why can't he? I'm living up there, and John reminds me that he's working for Ultra, or he's working for Ultra. Really, he's working for the rebels, being their spy in their network. And that's what this whole episode was really about, and I'll get into the details of it. The first thing that we need to cover is that these group of rebels basically want to go out, they want to go to a party. And Kara comes, she finds the perfect place to go where there's not a lot of security and human interaction is very limited. And John says no, so Kara's like, okay, we'll fight. Once again, cool fight sequence, lasts way too short. They should not, I don't understand why they don't, let them kind of like have a fight, like a full-on like fight between, the Tomorrow People, let them kind of go at it. So they could do it a little bit longer, but they chose not to, and that kind of sucked because it's really cool to see these guys fight. It's cool to see them duke it out. So the main problem is that Steven feels John is being way too controlling. He's keeping these people down there, and he is, just trying to make them stay down there. He's not letting them live their lives. He's not letting them have any fun. And John says, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm doing this for their own good. And so there's going to be kind of this polarizing effect to who these group of rebels are going to trust. We also learned, this was actually kind of interesting, and I kind of like the way this was played out. We basically learned that Zedekiah is actually not the head boss of Ultra, rather there's another person, and I say another person because we don't actually meet him. There's a scene where Steven goes to this guy's house, and I'm guessing he's the leader of Ultra. I'm not too sure, they didn't really say. He's like one of the bigger bosses of Ultra, and he communicates with Steven via telepathy. So we don't actually see the guy physically per se, we just know that, he's gonna represent another threat. And so they go to this party, the Tomorrow People do. Steven basically tries to go to his high school dance with his best friend Astrid, I think is her name. And basically nothing happens the way it's supposed to. And here's where the predictability factor kicks in. And I've said it before and I'll say it again, when a show gets too predictable, it's not going to be enjoyable. I saw everything coming. Like, for example, the love triangle thing. Kara and John get into a fight, and Kara brings Steven a pocket square. Why the heck she brings him a pocket square, I don't know. Like, he was wearing a suit to go to his dance? Does he really need a pocket square? Like, I didn't get it, and like, you could just tell that it's gonna happen. And unfortunately, I hate to say this, but if you want a love triangle show, go watch The Vampire Diaries. Like, we've already seen this before. We don't need to see it again. But they're really going to push it, and of course all CW shows have this whole kind of love triangle thing, and you can tell it's going to happen. It didn't happen this week, but trust me, it's coming, all because Kara basically is getting close to Steven. She's kind of flirting with him basically just a tiny bit, and Steven's kind of flirting back with her. And so I'm starting to feel like the show getting a little bit too predictable, like with the whole love triangle thing. Another thing that you could kind of see, you knew the party was going to be a setup. You knew that someone at this party was basically, either someone was going to tell on them or Ultra was going to find out somehow, and sure enough, all the people at the party that aren't part of the group of rebels are actually Ultra agents, and they're basically there to kill anyone they can. And once again, another thing that was kind of predictable towards the end was Kurt was the guy that betrayed him. Now, Kurt was the very first guy they found. He was in the second episode that Steven helped bring over to the group of rebels. And Kurt was basically the guy that was caught, trying to go out, sneak around to see his mother, and John wouldn't let him. So you kind of got the feeling as to who basically told Ultra, and Kurt reveals that it was him. And then Kara basically gets revenge on him by basically taking away his powers by injecting him with a serum, which Steven was supposed to steal, so that way they could maybe find a cure for it, because that's basically the way the Jedediah works, is he brings these Tomorrow people into Ultra, and if he can't get them to cooperate with him and to join his side, he basically cuts off their powers and he turns them into regular, everyday humans. Another thing that was kind of predictable, Steven reveals his powers to his friend way too early. And you kind of got the sense that he was going to do it this episode, and this, in my opinion, is just way too early. And her reaction, like, you expect her to have some questions, but she doesn't. She just kind of goes along. She was like, oh, that was cool, let's do it again. He basically teleports her somewhere. And if I'm a superhero and I'm destined to be like the chosen one or whatever, I'm not revealing my powers that easily, that way too soon. So overall, I felt this episode was a little bit lackluster, which sucks because we had such a good one last week. And there really wasn't, anything here. They tried to, I could see what they were trying to go for. They're trying to basically set up for something. I don't know what it is, but they need to hurry up and do it. I can tell you right now, Aaron Yu is probably my favorite character. Some people said he's overacting. In my opinion, he's not. I think he's, in a way, he's kind of like underacting just a tiny bit. He could be doing a little bit better job, but I'm loving his character. Russell is his name. I love his character. His character knows how to have fun. He basically is one of those live in the moment type characters. He's making jokes. He brings a little bit of comedy to the show. But despite all that, like, this show, like, it had such a good episode last week, as I've said before, and then we had this episode, and it was kind of lackluster. So I really don't know where they're going with the show. I'm just hoping they set up for something big, and I hope that, the next episode, they really try to break out of this whole, love triangle thing. Please don't make this show all about the love triangle, because then you're just going to have another Vampire Diaries, and if anybody wants to watch the Vampire Diaries, they're going to watch the Vampire Diaries. And I guess another thing is that, stop being too predictable with your show. Like I said, this show is a little bit too predictable. It could kind of hurt the show. So if I were to give this episode a grade, there are some redeeming factors to the show, but right now it's losing out. I'm actually going to give this episode a C-. I felt it was very lackluster, way too predictable, and the fact that Steven reveals his powers way too early just takes out of the whole, mysterious kind of best friend dating thing, and they're pushing the love triangle on us. I really hope that I'm wrong on that, but it is what it is. So, turning it over to you guys, what did you think of the episode? Were you a little bit more positive viewing this episode than I was? Are you liking the show so far? How many seasons do you think it will have? And that's pretty much it, guys. That is my review, and give it over to you guys. So do what you do. Leave a comment below. Leave your feelings. So, that being said, I'm going to get out of here, guys. This is Joker777 signing off, and I will see you guys later.